Welcome back to dearCC, human advice for the AI age. I'm Clara, but you can call me Cece, and today I'm sitting down with two amazing marketing guests. Ally Basak, a longtime marketing leader in Silicon Valley, and Samantha Wen, UC Berkeley class of 2023 in sociology and media studies. Welcome to the pod.
So great to be here, Clara. Really excited.
So Samantha, let's start with you. You graduated 3 years ago, and tell me about when you started thinking about applying for a job.
Definitely going to UC Berkeley was one of the biggest dreams and accomplishments of my life.
Yes, it's basically impossible to get into a college like that these days.
And it's also a very competitive school. So the minute I stepped foot on that campus, they were saying, you need to join clubs.
Who is they?
Older students, my peers, people that were getting their junior year internship. And I say, how can I be successful like you? That was kind of like the marker of being able to get a full-time job right after college was the goal. Like if I could have applied to a Big Four internship, got it my sophomore year, and had an internship under my belt with no stress, and then immediately had a full-time job, I would have been way less stressed.
That was the golden path that people were going for.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. So immediately I joined a business club. I joined a passion club and a sports club, but I feel like immediately I had to look for my first summer internships. So that was sophomore year. I actually didn't land anything my sophomore year and was kind of taken back of maybe I've already fallen behind. I can't even get a sophomore year internship. I landed my first internship at Tesla. I was a learning and development intern for a fall. And then my junior summer, I landed at Warner Brothers Discovery being a social impact solutions intern, which was more towards marketing, which I've always really wanted to go into. But especially just landing a big internship, I kind of would take any position.
Well, those are two terrific internships at big name companies. And so I would expect someone like that to be able to easily get a full-time job. So walk us through what happened after graduation.
Totally. I thought that too. I thought if I got into a big name college and I had a big name internship under my belt, like I would just get a job like that because everyone would be wanting me. I was applying for about 11 months on mainly cold applying on LinkedIn, Indeed, a little bit of Handshake, but it was constantly revamping my resume, applying to probably 10 jobs a day.
Wait, hold on. 11 months, 10 jobs a day,
Mm-hmm.
and there was nothing for that amount of time.
I got interviews, but I never got a role. I've even went through a startup interview where it was 5 rounds of technical marketing interviews.
Yeah.
And then at the very last round, they say, actually, we just canceled the position. We're not going to hire anyone.
That's pretty common news.
That is, yeah. So let's switch gears. Ally, you have been a hiring manager at multiple companies, B2B companies, B2C companies, public companies like Upwork, infamous companies like WeWork, many startups. What is going on? And has the market shifted for marketing majors and marketing hires?
Actually, yes, I think very much so. So about a year ago, I think, there was everybody I know in marketing was either scared of being laid off or laid off. And this has been going on for the last couple of years because marketing in some organizations is seen as a cost center. So when budgets get tight or a startup can't raise another round of VC funding, the first thing to go is usually the marketing, comms, and creative teams. So yes, I've seen that happen over and over. The good news is, though, I think the pendulum is swinging a little bit back. I'm seeing a lot of companies now who basically laid off their entire teams and now tried doing all of that using AI, and they're realizing that they sound and look like slop. So they're rehiring people.
And so let's talk about this. So this actually, you saw this firsthand at the last company you were in.
Yeah, in fact, I had to lay off my entire team, all of whom I had personally recruited.
That is
'cause
so
I've
hard.
worked with them before. And then I laid off myself. And the company pivoted actually into an AI startup.
Join the
So-
club. That's the only way to survive these days. Does Sam's story resonate with what you're seeing and specific to entry-level hiring?
Yeah, definitely. I have hired folks for social media marketing managers. I have hired folks for junior graphic designers that are right out of school. And all of these candidates say that they're just going through rounds and rounds of interviews, or maybe they seem amazing and even their portfolio is great, but I'm the only one who called them back.
Well, I want to share some data that is related to this discussion. SEMrush recently studied 8,000 job openings as of a month ago, and they saw that specific to marketing, they're seeing roles polarize between hands-on creators and doers versus senior growth owners. And so, let's see, it says 1/3 of the listings are execution-heavy roles where they're actually responsible for the end copy or campaign. And they've seen, in contrast, traditional generalist titles have dropped sharply. For example, content marketing manager roles fell 73% over the last year. And then senior ownership roles are surging, for example, head of content marketing. And so what is the takeaway here? Does this resonate with what you're seeing?
Content marketing is one of those ones where the subject matter has really been taken out by AI, because content marketing, writing copy, writing long form editorial content, it's really become something that AI can do pretty well.
But if your job is ownership for the ultimate content and how it shows up, i.e. a more senior role, whether you're using contractors or whether you're using AI, it doesn't really matter to the company as long as the final product is good.
So you have ownership over the outcomes rather than the inputs. You can use AI, but you have to come up with a really strong process to make sure you're sifting through, checking it for accuracy and tone of voice, and making just sure that it's helpful to people so it doesn't become just slop out there.
But does that require a lot of experience? And what does that mean for people like Sam who are just out of school?
I actually don't think so. Maybe if the hiring manager is looking for a strong portfolio, then that would be really hard to apply to those kinds of jobs. But I think for every marketing job, you can break it down to hard skills. Like in this case, writing and editing would be hard skills that are needed for a content marketing job. And then you also need AI skills, right? So prompting and making sure that you know the latest technology and how is Claude different from Gemini and which one should you use for which types of tasks. Also, how do you set up project management and like a content calendar and automate all of that? And how can you show that you're able to pre-schedule everything and show analytics? So I think there's a lot of hard skills in there. And then, of course, I think for content marketing, I think increasingly with AI, the third bucket of skills you need to have is very platform dependent. So for example, if a company is creating their blog or their newsletter on Substack and you don't have any Substack experience, it's going to be really hard to do that. Likewise with like HubSpot or Webflow. Yeah.
So Samantha, you have a real cliffhanger here because you were searching for 11 months and during this time, of course, it was frustrating and based on your resume, you're used to getting what you set your mind out more. How did it feel and how did you keep your head in the game during this process?
Totally. As I was prepping for this, I was looking back in a lot of my journal entries of what it was like to be in that time. And it was kind of sad because I was going back into like one of the darkest places I've been. I feel like my whole life has kind of been about the potential I have, like
And you've been high achieving your whole life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I guess it's really confusing because it's like, well, I don't know what you're looking for. You're looking for a generalist across the board. You want me to do content and a podcast and product marketing and user research and go to this in-person event. And I think like the standard is getting to that where marketers have to be this jack of all trades because they're assuming that you can use AI tools to then create a team behind you.
Or hire freelancers to do it that are fractional and just help you for that one project.
Which I think is a trend that I'm seeing across other job categories is you have to understand the big picture, in that sense, be a generalist. But as Ally was saying, and you were just saying, you also have to have real hard skills. Some of those hard skills can be AI related, some of them aren't. And you have to be able to stitch it together. So it's really hard if you're just coming out of college to know how to do that. So I'm very curious to hear how your story has proceeded.
I think it kind of all accumulated to being like, well, hopefully she can do something with that knowledge. Hopefully she can make an impact. And so when I got to the point where I'm like, but I'm not contributing anything to the world. I just feel like I'm consuming, I'm spending money, I'm taking things from people and I have nothing to add. And I feel like it took a big confidence on myself of like, am I even capable of doing these things? I thought I had so much passion and fire in me, but I don't know what to do.
Can I tell you, when I post a job, like in the past year, for example, I think I've gotten like 4,000 resumes just on LinkedIn, and that's not even looking through the applicant tracking system. And so what then happens is I try to filter some of them out using AI tools. And for the rest, I literally look in, click on their website or portfolio, see their work product, which I actually ask for up front, and I make a snap decision of whether I want to have them move on to the next stage or not. That's not, yeah.
Do you read cover letters?
I don't read cover letters until I narrow it down. I think taste level is really critical for marketing. So the first thing I look at is like your personal branding. Do you fit our vibe? Are you cool? Do you know the cultural trends? Are you going to be able to integrate that into everything that we're doing? And then the second thing I do is then I narrow it down. Then I'll read your cover letter, but I'll just skim it. And if I see anything glaring, that's just poor grammar or syntax, then I'll eliminate. And then from there, I ask for work samples. I actually am not really big on interviews. I think especially for early graduates right out of school, work samples are a much better indicator of future success than our interviews because you can just get so nervous.
I completely agree. And again, not just in marketing, I've hired for thousands of roles. Never look at the cover letter. I always ask for people to do a case study or actual work output, which I think goes back to the earlier discussion we were having about it's not about one skill or another skill. It's how do you bring it all together for a really great end product?
I think it's interesting to note of like what are the impactful aspects of someone's application. Because when I get a rejection letter and I'm like, it's my fault, I got to redo my resume. Maybe my whole resume is formatted so it's not optimal for AI. You're not even looking at it. It's just getting weeded out in the first place. And
So you want to have that feedback of at what point did I get cut off?
And it's interesting that like a portfolio is impactful. Because even for me, like I threw something on my resume of like, oh, just a Google Drive link of anything that I've built before. And maybe that, like.
No. Because I will nix you for that if you include it. So don't include anything that you're not really proud of, and less is more. Because I will nix you if I see something that I think is not at a high taste level or isn't super polished. And so, yeah.
Is it specific to brand and content marketing? And are there other aspects of marketing? For example, someone whose job it is to buy ads?
No, because I think it's attention to detail. And also, even if you're only buying ads, you need to work with the creatives. And increasingly, you need to be the head of performance marketing, which means you still have to have an eye for creative and be able to give feedback to the creative teams that you're working with.
All trades.
Yeah, you have to be a multi-hyphenate, especially in marketing, I think. Maybe that's true in other fields as well.
I think so. So I also want to discuss this new study that came out from Adweek citing data from the Anthropic Economic Index. They actually used real data from actual people's cloud usage to come up with this. And they analyzed that 65% of the tasks that marketers do today are AI exposed, i.e. AI can automate a lot of it.
Yep.
And the Adweek piece cited a few reasons why they thought this was the case. First, that marketing is unusually language and design heavy. Second, that marketing, there's enough process and a clear outcome that marketing is going for. So usually AI is good for that. Third, as you were saying, marketing is viewed as a cost center. So it's something that the CFO often wants to go
Nice
after.
to have, not a must have.
It's viewed that way. And fourth, that a lot of people in marketing may not have formal training. Certainly they don't know every aspect of brand and design and product marketing and demand gen. And so AI may actually have more marketing knowledge than any given entry-level person. What is your reaction to this? I mean, maybe we'll start with you this time.
What's interesting is like in my role now, I'm kind of like on a 3-person marketing team. And a lot of it isn't like content creation, but it's building workflows and building processes so that I'm creating that overall scan of like, what is our event schedule going to be looking like what would the strategy be looking like for then an AI person to be like an AI to execute for me to review and like actually push.
Operational systems that scale. That's a lot of the job these days.
But I'm like, should I go into sales? Should I go into should I get a job at a boba shop? Like I decided to, like in the time of it, I became a volleyball ref for like high schools and colleges.
That's wonderful.
And it was really great because one, it gave me like a routine in my life where like I'm doing something in the world. Like I need to get up and be ready by 4 p.m. to get out. And I have this schedule of my life in order instead of I can do anything. And that possibility is a little overwhelming.
So you had some structure. It filled your cup working with kids. I know you like that.
Yeah, definitely. And like getting even just a little bit of income. I feel like that was a big part of like the insecurity is again feeling like I'm just consuming. I have nothing to contribute, but I'm just taking. I'm spending money, and I'm anxious about should I even buy myself lunch right now because there's no money coming in. There's only money coming out. And so just even having a little pad of like a side job just gave me a little more stability.
So it gave you stability, it gave you some confidence and some money, but it didn't take up so much time that you couldn't still prepare. And so how did you find this job that you ultimately landed?
I cold applied on LinkedIn.
I love that.
And
What do you search for?
I would marketing.
Marketing.
Any marketing coordinator, marketing associate. It could be content marketing, social media marketing, or marketing events. I applied mainly for generalist things, but I positioned myself as like an event specialist for my roles in college. And that's something that I knew I had a passion for. I wanted to follow into it.
Hey, what did you do in college?
I was on an improv and sketch comedy team. So I was producing improv shows every other week. We were doing video, live shows. And so when they asking me like, how would you feel about planning a conference or planning a meetup? I'm like, that's easy. It's just like an improv show. And I think that confidence really rang through. But I think because I came in to the interview confident in my skills, confident that you can also trust me because I trust myself, I think that's what really sold it for them.
And this was all while doing something you loved in college.
Yeah, I think that was really, really engaging to them, especially for like the startup world. They're like, you can wear many hats. You're a go-getter. You take initiative.
You figure it out.
And it's really amazing to kind of be in charge of projects end to end because I think for me, kind of like the executioner role, like it's important for me to see the fruits of my labor, to see that like I did that, I made this impact, and I can do something good for the world.
That is such an important takeaway, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank
because
you.
You finally got your job in the role that you wanted. I think it is a message that kids in college need to hear because so many are feeling the pressure right now, especially from AI. And so I think the takeaway is sometimes the way you find your differentiation and stand out and build confidence is to find that thing in college that you love to do and be able to own it. And that actually will help you find a job.
I saw this thing about like TikTok creators and like finding their niche. I feel like people are always trying to find like, what am I good at? Like, what should I go into? And I think it was an interesting take to be like, everything in your life that have led you here today makes your niche.
Yep.
You know, like you being yourself wholeheartedly, you following your strengths makes you the unique person, the unique position to do what you do well. And so like in my company right now, it's very engineering heavy and I get really insecure that I don't really know how to code or I don't know all these technical things. But I know I can throw an event way better than every other person in this company. And that's what I need to lean into. That's the skill I'm bringing to the table and to know that to stay confident in it. Yeah.
That's so uplifting. I mean, you've had some interesting, you pivoted into marketing from law.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was hard emotionally because I had worked just like her. I was a high achiever and I worked so hard to get through law school. And, you know, I come from a kind of family where it's like, if you can be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, that's what you're going to do. But I didn't know marketing wasn't a career option when I was younger. And I went to a liberal arts school where they didn't even have marketing as a major. So for me, I had to just have the conviction in myself, figure out what I was best at and what I could be truly world class at. And I knew it wasn't going to be law. So when the opportunity came for me to transition into marketing, I was lucky in that I got to do a little bit at a time. And I had a really strong mentors who taught me a lot of marketing on the job. And I learned by doing.
Do you think those opportunities like what you had are available to people graduating today?
You got to get your foot in the door somehow. I know it's so hard. I've been laid off. I was laid off at WeWork, and it's so hard to fight that urge to just keep going, like submitting so many different applications every day. But I found that didn't really get me anywhere.
So it's not just a numbers game.
I don't think it's a numbers game at all, especially not now. I think both of us would have been better served by just becoming a more interesting person, like what you did with volleyball. Or maybe it's like you go take a little sabbatical for yourself. Or I learned how to design in Figma when I had downtime. Or I was watching master classes, you know? So just become a more interesting person and those skills will come full circle and you'll be able to apply them to work in some capacity.
So 42% of Gen Z are underemployed, which means that they're taking on jobs that don't require their degree, like being a volleyball referee. And what you're saying is during that time, don't waste the time. So you should do
Don't waste
upskilling.
And don't just sit there doom scrolling and panicking. Yeah. And it can be something that brings you passion, or it can be a practical skill that will help you once you get on the job.
So let's get very specific on those practical skills. So say someone is, bartending or refereeing high school volleyball. What are the specific skills that someone needs to acquire today to be hireable in marketing?
So I think, first of all, you want to pick a sub-function that is your core. So
Like it was events for
it was
Sam.
events for you. And you have to have one thing that you're really good at and have expertise in, but then you have to wear multiple hats. So pick something tangential to that core that you're really good at and be pretty good at those things too. So if your case, maybe it's community forums or coming up with events for the community, for the most loyal. Creating a loyalty program could be another thing that you could be really good at. So pick something like in the realm of where you have a specialty and build out from there.
What I would say is, I think it's interesting that that to pick something that's tangential to marketing, because I think in early of a career, it's kind of like, yeah, I've been on this marketing path. I think I want to do marketing. How do I know if I want to do it? And the metaphor I was using when I was a volleyball coach was, a tree's trunk kind of goes out, but you gotta have branches to make your shape. And so each little side quest, whether it's becoming a barista, becoming a volleyball coach, was like another branch of me expanding. And it wasn't like a full new tree, it was just a new part of me. And each of that is going to contextualize who I become. And what I would say, this is what the advice I would give to college students too, is like follow your happiness. Like follow a side project that you're passionate about, that you want to work on, and it will come later. Skills will come like through doing the work, but because you're excited about it and because you're passionate about it, your work will be better. You'll be more into it and people will see it.
Well, what I'm hearing is it's really about having a growth mindset and maybe you're bartending, but that's not all you're doing. You're learning about how the bar functions. You're learning about the P&L. You're
Or
learning about
the
how to brand-
menu.
Yeah.
How to design a cool menu,
Yeah,
or
how
do
to
the
brand.
branding for the bar. Exactly. How to make a new cocktail and then get a press hit for that because you invented something new and you named that cocktail.
And so really there's actually opportunity everywhere if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
And AI then becomes your superpower, because if you want to learn how to launch a loyalty program for your startup, or if you want to learn all the key skills around building a brand, guess what? You've got ChatGPT, you've got Claude, you've got Gemini there to help you.
That's kind of what I think of is the beauty of AI too, is democratizing the way to do things. Like now with like Claude Code, I don't have to have a formal education to learn how to code. Like could throw up a Shopify store and like start my own brand. And I think like that entry point is easier because of it.
So let's talk about AI tools that you're using. So what are you using and how did you learn how to use it? Is it learning by doing, or did you sign up for a course somewhere or watch a YouTube video?
I think people learn in have different learning styles, but for me, 100% learning by doing. I had to just carve out time on the job to just start playing around, and even on weekends. It was less intimidating for me to start with personal use cases for AI and then think about, once I was comfortable prompting, I could then extend it into work
Give
situations.
me an example of a really impactful personal use case.
Yeah.
And you're an impactful work.
So interior design. If you want to stage your room with cool furniture, or if you want to see the way that things look in a room, or change the floor plan of your bedroom to see if you can style it a little bit better, you can put all of that into an AI tool. So that's one personal use case. Another one is for my company, we just did a photo shoot for all of the co-founders, and I didn't like the blazer I was wearing when the photos came back. I used AI and I switched it out, and that's the profile pic I use now. I put a new fabric on my blazer.
Which AI did you use?
I actually used ChatGPT for that one, but it took a lot of prompting to get right.
Oh,
If you need fabrics changed out in any of your profile photos, I'm your girl.
have you done that for work?
There are so many ways that I've done it for work. One of the best ways, I think, for marketers, we do a lot of market research and a lot of customer interviews in marketing, especially with my consulting company. And so what we do is we turn on Gemini when we do Zoom interviews, where we're remotely interviewing customers or stakeholders internally at a company. And then I turn on Gemini, it's the note taker. And then at the end, I use it to summarize. And then I put all of those interviews, the exact transcript of those interviews, into ChatGPT or Claude, and it will pull out potential insights. But I think summarizing research, summarizing patterns within customer interviews to figure out what your best opportunities are and your biggest pain points of your customers are, that's like a really good use case for Claude, I think.
Which is exactly what we're going to do with these podcast episodes. What about you, Samantha? How are you using AI in your workflow?
Totally. I feel really lucky too, because when ChatGPT first came up, I was a junior, senior in college. And so I was able to use it in my studies a lot.
You're AI native.
Yeah, yeah. I remember there was this time where this girl was really in awe of what I was doing, because it's like 10 minutes before we have this big presentation for class. And she's like, I don't know what a third bullet point for this is. I'm just like, give me the entire reading. What are the 3 main points? And then it's just like, oh, sweet, we can just put that on the slide.
How has your usage of AI shifted now that you're at work?
Definitely. When I was in college, I was very much doing single prompts, like one thing, one thing. Once I went into a B2B startup where they're paying for a Claude Pro subscription, they're heavily encouraging to use AI to like streamline your work. And I have projects to work on. I was able to like set up marketing workflows that were actually going to do something. Summarization just streamlines things really fast when it's not a complex thinking problem too. It's just kind of like, that's what I think too with like work and Claude for tools now, I think takes away a lot of administrative tasks and like organizing my notes and what's my to-do list. Basically every day now I'm asking Claude, what's my to-do list today? Look into my Notion, Slack, and Granola recordings to just compile everything. And what am I missing?
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then I'll say like, rank it by priority. Oh, sweet. Task 1. Can you help draft me that Slack message then? So it's doing honestly a lot of things behind the scenes, but it's like, I'm still prompting it, but I don't have to memorize anything.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's huge.
It's so incredible. I mean, I manage my 1,000-person org at my last company using Claude Code because all the transcriptions from all of our meetings fed in, that would feed, that would output all the to-dos and also the agenda for the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another great way. And also project management. So when I take on a new client, when I'm consulting, we take the statement of work and the problems that the company has, and then we like feed it into a template and it pops out a project management plan with even a Gantt chart. So it's like, instead of needing to hire a project manager, now I can just go through and take like the line items or deliverables that a client wants and turn that into a project plan with a timeline and kind of a checklist of what we need to get done. It's like having an executive assistant.
Or 50 of them.
Or 50 of them.
Honestly, I think a big skill that I learned was getting into prompt engineering, like how to efficiently prompt, especially if you have like limited like chat or tokens to be able to use, like how to put in the context. I'm a product marketing manager versus I'm a content writer versus I'm an event planner, and then how to fully give it all my context, the links that it needs, what do I want, and how to efficiently output it so it's in the correct format that I want. I feel like just learning how to communicate effectively with an LLM was really important to me. And like,
How did you learn it?
efficiently. With mentors, really, and kind of people that were like also like, oh, I just saw this new article about using XML tagging for Claude. Like, here, you can try it. Especially if I had a repetitive task, I would probably keep that entire prompt in a copy and paste. So one of the prompts that I was doing was I was a podcast producer, and so it would be getting all of the prep done beforehand of researching the guest, researching the company, researching our company. How do both of those things tie into it? What are possible questions that our founder could be asking the host? And all of that was like, Claude, do the research on this and this and this, and then compile. But I only need the questions at the end of the day. I don't need to be like doing all this. Like, that could probably take me 6 hours of work just for research. Instead, it's one prompt that I'm doing every single week, but just putting different links as inputs.
It's just stitching your workflow together. Yeah. Well, and Claude Code is great for that because you can save those as skills that you just reuse again and again.
I think that's where, like, as it progresses, like before it was me doing single line tagging, then it was me understanding how to use connectors and how to use it as an MCP server. And now I think I am going to be having to build an agent, like a marketing agent or a content agent through workflows, through skills. And I think that is kind of like where we're heading in the future.
I love it. Ally, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
So if you zoom out and you look at the marketing function 12 months ago and 24 months ago, has the work changed?
Yes. I think that there's certain sub-functions or skills in marketing that are going away, but there's a tangential one that I think will never go away. So in some ways, it's like up-leveling something to be more strategic and more creative and create original thought. Let me give you an example. So for example, in the old days, if you were a graphic designer, you could either specialize in illustration or you could specialize in animation. These days, you don't want to specialize in animation because that can be done very easily through AI, right? But creating a custom illustration that sets the illustration style for an entire brand that's super unique, that's something that it can't do. So if you're a graphic designer and you really like drawing, don't be an animator, be an illustrator and have that be your niche. Another one is it's really hard to be a copywriter and it's really hard to be an editorial content writer. I think those unfortunately are also two skills or two jobs that are going away. But what you can't get rid of is storytelling. And so you need to be able to take copy and take editorial content and craft that into a story that really resonates with people's emotions and is new and not something anybody else is using. So that's where it goes back to positioning. I think positioning is something that is not ever going to go away because it's original thought and you're trying to differentiate from your competition. So product marketing, I think, isn't going anywhere. I mean, some of the copy, if you're writing website copy or if you're trying to create a sales deck or something, of course you can use AI for that, and that's totally going away. But
So there's marketing jobs where just the advice is to really be savvy about which subdiscipline and which
you
skills,
choose.
and don't compete against AI.
Yeah.
Use it to
Right.
help you,
Use it to help you.
and don't
And-
double down in the areas where
specialize-
it's really good.
And specialize in something that it can't do yet, at least not
Okay.
yet. Another thing I was going to say is I really like the examples you gave of the workflows that you have set up. Something that I have learned to do that really works for us is I use AI to help me create really great templates. For example, a marketing brief, right? A template for the brief. What do other companies use? What do the best agencies in the world use for a creative brief? Or what do they use for a strategic brief or to make a business case for budget for something? And then I just take notes or interviews or whatever I have on hand and feed it through and it populates it for me. So brief writing is really important for alignment, but it can be done instantaneously with AI now.
Yeah, to Samantha's point about giving it the outputs that you want.
Mm.
Okay, so final flash round,
Ooh,
rapid fire.
love it.
I'm going to ask you your favorite AI tool, and the answer could be an AI app, it could be a model, whatever you use
Okay.
to do X. Okay, so first one is generating an image.
ChatGPT.
I'm going to go Gemini because of Nano Banana.
Okay. Generating a press release.
ChatGPT.
Claude.
Organizing all of your marketing projects.
Claude.
Claude.
Designing an ad campaign.
I'm going to go neither. I would go native in Figma and then or Canva, depending on, the level of maturity of the organization that you're working at. But there's a lot of great marketing tools that now have native AI features built in.
This is for design, you said?
A whole ad campaign.
Whole ad campaign.
Yeah.
I think for strategy and your brainstorming, I would go to Claude. But for like actual creation of assets, I would probably go to an actual designer.
What about designing the campaign, the targeting, the bid, the channels?
Ooh, I think you got to go native to whichever platform you're using now, like TikTok or Meta. That's all baked in now and it's all AI optimized. So unfortunately, I think performance marketing, being a paid media buyer, that's a job that you don't want to start to get into now. I would not recommend that be your marketing specialty.
AI is quite good at that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining. Your insights were invaluable. And frankly, it's really uplifting to know that marketing is safe. It's just being completely redefined in a way that actually might be more democratized for entry-level people.
Totally. Thank you so much, Clara.
Well, that's it for this episode of dearCC, Human Advice for the AI Age. Thank you and look forward to seeing you next time.